Today we're going to look at fractions and order of operations. A lot of people are scared of fractions, but they're not that bad. They're not bad. There's a bunch of tricks that you can use to make things simpler, and I'm going to try and show you a lot of them right now. First, though, I want to point out the rules for adding and subtracting, and the rules for multiplication and division. So these two rules are by far the ones that are most forgotten, or they're the most confused. For adding and subtracting, you must get a common denominator. The reason is when you have a fraction, it's part of a number. Just the same way, if you don't fill up a glass of water all the way, well, that's a bad example. But fractions are parts of numbers, and to be able to compare them, you have to have a common denominator. With like a cup of water, if you're trying to compare water levels, it's good to have the same size cup. Otherwise, it's a little bit difficult. If you have one really skinny glass and one really fat glass, and you fill them up to different levels or the same level, it's hard to tell which one has more or which one has less, or if they're equal. So putting them in the same container, in the same type of glass, makes it easier to compare and work with. Same with adding and subtracting fractions. You must have a common denominator. That was a lengthy explanation. Multiplying and dividing, you don't need that. You can cross-cancel when you're multiplying and dividing. That's just simplifying diagonally if you can to make the numbers smaller. When you're adding and subtracting, you cannot cross-cancel. So, yeah, let's just get to some examples. This is for adding and subtracting fractions. I should have put that. So here I'm subtracting, and I don't have a common denominator. What I can do to get a common denominator is think about what's the greatest common multiple of both of these numbers, and that would be, I think, 8, or the least common multiple, actually. The smallest would be 8. So that means I can multiply by 2, and then I don't have to do anything to that because I already have an 8 denominator there. So that would be 13 over 8 minus 6 over 8. Anytime I'm getting a common denominator, I have to do the same thing from in the top and the bottom. The reason for that is if I'm multiplying by 2 over 2, that's the same thing as multiplying by 1. And when you multiply by 1, you don't really change anything. So 3/4 has the same value as 6 over 8. So now we have a common denominator. Once you have a common denominator, you keep the denominator. So I'll just have 8, and I do 13 minus 6. So I just have 7/8. Pretty easy. Let's do another. Again, here I don't have common denominators, so I have to get common denominators, and the least common multiple for these is just when I multiply those together. I can't change the 4 into a 7, so I'm going to try and multiply this one by 4, because that will change the bottom into 28. And remember, that's the same thing as multiplying by 1, so I have to do the same thing in the top and in the bottom. And this one, to get 28, I would have to multiply by 7. And then what do I do? What I do in the top, what I do in the bottom, I have to do to the top. So then I get negative 49 over 28 plus 60 over 28. And now they have a common denominator, so I keep the denominator, 28. And negative 49 plus 60, the 60 is bigger, so I'm going to subtract. They have opposite signs, so I'll subtract 60 minus 49. And that'll be positive 11 over 28 because the 60 is bigger and it's positive. So there we go. In this problem, we have multiplication, and these are mixed numbers. What the heck? What the heck, man? Why are you so different? Well, we got lots of different problems to do. We should be able to do them all. These aren't terrible. The shortcut, the easy way to change mixed numbers into improper fractions, because we need that, is by multiplying. So that's multiplying and then adding in the top. So maybe I'll just write that. So multiply and then add. And then we have a negative here. So this whole number is negative, or the entire number is negative rather. So 4 times 5 is 20, plus 3 is 23. And we'll keep it negative, and it's over 4. And then I have here, when I multiply, 6 times 3 is 18, and then when I add 18 plus 1 is 19. And I keep the same denominator. Now, if I did long division on this, I should get 3 and remainder 1, and that's where that would come in. So 3 remainder 1. And then what I'm going to do is try and cross cancel, or try to reduce if I can. Is this divisible by the same thing as this? I can divide both by, well, nothing. 23 is a prime number. Same with 19. 19 is a prime number, so those won't be able to reduce either. I can also look at these pairs. Can I divide these by the same number? And I can't in this instance. So all you do is multiply straight across. So I did that with a calculator, 23 times 19, and that would be 437, and then 6 times 4 is 24. Now I know that I can't reduce this because I couldn't reduce it before, because these numbers are just made up of those numbers. So I tried to reduce before, that's how I know I can't reduce this. And then we have this negative out there, so that's the answer. So that's how you change a mixed number into an improper fraction, and then multiply straight across the top, straight across the bottom.